talked about the what and the how of the stock market. But that leaves maybe the most important question of all. Who is this whole thing actually for? Let's dive in and find out.
So we've built a pretty solid foundation, right? We know what the market is, we get what shares are, and we've got a handle on how the system functions. But all of that leads to the biggest question. Who actually gets to participate in this system? Is it some kind of exclusive club, or is it for everybody?
So, just as a super quick recap, we know the stock market is basically the place where little pieces of companies are bought and sold. And we know those little pieces are called shares, and they represent a tiny, tiny slice of ownership in a business. And we also know this all happens through exchanges right here in India. So yeah, we've covered the what and the how, but now let's get into the who.
All right, so who are the actual players in this whole game? Let's break it down.
At a high level, you can basically split everyone into two big groups. On one side, you've got individual participants. That's just regular people. Sometimes you'll hear them called retail participants. And then on the other side, you have institutional participants. These are the big players. Think mutual funds, big corporations, that kind of thing.
Now, we're going to leave those big institutions for another day, because honestly, this explainer is all about that first group. It's about individuals. It's about people just like you. The whole system is really built on this idea that companies are inviting everyday folks to come and share in their growth.
Okay, so if you're an individual and you're thinking, hey, I want to participate, what do you actually need? Well, think of it like needing a couple of keys to unlock the door to the market. These are the absolute essentials to get you started.
The first key you're going to need is something called a demat account. Now, that name sounds a little technical, right? It just comes from the word dematerialized, which is a super fancy way of saying digital. See, way back in the day, you'd get an actual paper certificate for your shares. Can you imagine? Now, it's all held electronically. So the best way to think about a demat account, it's your digital locker. It's where all your shares are stored, safe and sound, online.
And the second key, that's your trading account. So if the demat account is your storage locker, the trading account is kind of like your remote control. It's the tool you use to actually give the instructions to place the buy and sell orders in the market.
So here's the really crucial point. You need both of these. They work together like a team. You use your trading account to say, hey, I want to buy a share. And once that purchase goes through, the share gets delivered and stored safely right inside your demat account. See? It's really that simple.
Okay, now that we know the tools, let's tackle the single biggest mental block that stops people from ever even getting started. Let's bust the biggest myth about the stock market, shall we?
And that myth, it almost always comes out as this question. This all sounds great, but do I need to be rich to do this? Do I need like a huge pile of cash just to get my foot in the door?
The answer to that is a very clear, very simple, and absolute no.
So, if it's not just for the rich, then who is it for? Well, it's for salaried employees who are trying to grow their savings, it's for students who want to get an early start, it's for small business owners, it's for homemakers. Basically, it's for anyone who wants a chance to participate in the country's economic growth. And honestly, this is maybe the most important thing to take away from this whole explainer. Participation is not about how much money you have. It's about the act of starting. You can absolutely begin with a really small amount. The goal here isn't to get rich overnight. Not at all. It's to just start learning, to understand how the system works, and to build a good habit.
All right, so we've established that the market really is for you, and we know the basic tools you need to get in. So that brings us to the next step on your learning journey.
And hey, if you're finding this step-by-step approach useful, you might want to consider subscribing. That way, you just won't miss the next piece of the puzzle as we put it all together.
So now that you know that you can participate, the next logical question is, why do share prices move around so much? What makes them go up one day and then down the next? Well, that's the big puzzle we're going to tackle in our very next explainer. I'll see you there.